Well, hello there, and welcome back to Mysteriously Nervous Nightmare. Today, for my first official folklore video, I have been asked to focus on one of my absolute favorite Hispanic stories. That story is the tale of La Llorona. Now, there are countless different variations to this story. The most common one, however, that I found describes a beautiful young woman named Maria. Maria was said to have married a handsome man of great wealth, and have lived quite happily. She even had 2 children with the man, both of whom were boys. However, the man began to lose interest in Maria after some time. More time passed, and Maria's husband only began to pay attention to and acknowledge her sons. All the while, she began to feel a deep resentment for her children. Her husband reportedly began spending massive amounts of time away from her and their children. And whenever he did return from one of his extended trips or absences, he would only speak to his sons and completely ignore Maria further. And this caused her rage to begin to grow even more. Until one night, while she was walking along the banks of a local river with her 2 children, her husband drove up in a carriage, and beside him was sitting another woman of higher born class than Maria herself. He only spoke to his sons, and after he spoke to them, he left without another word to either them or Maria. He didn't even look her in the eyes. And after he left, Maria felt such a massive amount of hatred and anger build up into her soul that she proceeded to pick up her young sons, whom she'd felt so much resentment toward, and throw them into the river that they had been walking by. Now, this is where the story splits off in many different cases. One of the different cases has Maria realizing almost immediately after she throws her children in what she's done. Then she begins frantically running down to the river to save her 2 young children who are being washed away by the current, but to no avail. She then proceeds to run around the town screaming and crying and moaning and weeping, telling people that they need help, but no one does. She then walks around the river day and night, weeping and moaning over her lost children, until she finally wastes away, still a young, beautiful woman. Another account has her basically doing the same thing, throwing her children in, realizing what she'd done, then running down to the river. But this account has her jumping headlong into the water, trying to catch her 2 young sons in her arms before they're swept away by the current. But she too is caught in the powerful, swift currents of the river that she went into. She drowns in this story, and in both stories she ends up as a spirit, wandering the earth, weeping and moaning and crying over her lost children, constantly wandering the river and the banks, searching for them. And this is also where some interesting differences in the story go. In some versions, she simply remains a wandering spirit, and in other instances, she is literally a vengeful spirit who will drag anything that she finds to the bottom of the river to drown it. But there's a third story that is also used, where she only catches children that look as though they are her children that she'd once lost. She then drowns those children and continues weeping, because the children that she drowns in this version are bargaining tools in order for her 2 sons to return to her and go with her to the afterlife. However, they never come. Her sacrifices, in this version at least, are never accepted. And this is why it is one of my most favorite Hispanic stories, because it has such differentiation depending on the area and depending on the way it is told, that you can't help but feel and wonder about it. Wonder what the truth is. Wonder what the true motive is behind this spirit. because all we have are the stories behind it. All we know is what once was Maria is now known as La Llorona, the weeping woman of the waterways of Mexico. Now, this is a classic Hispanic story, and I feel as though it inspires so much fear because it's such a tragic story, something that really pulls at your heart, really makes you feel something for La Llorona, because she's not just a faceless ghost that goes after you and kills you for no reason. She's trying to get something back. She's trying to atone for something that she won't ever be able to atone for. This is a very, very good story, and it's been told mainly to make sure that young children pay attention to their mother and father and follow the rules, never to go outside at night for fear that La Llorona will grab them and pull them to a very dark, watery grave. To be perfectly honest, I've always enjoyed this story, and I have immensely enjoyed reading it to you guys. And honestly, folklore stories like this are what really get me. They have this amazing feeling to them, and that is something that I can really get into. Sure, there are plenty of blood and guts stories out there, but honestly, this story still sends shivers up my spine today, because thinking of walking along a river and seeing a crying woman there, your first instinct, at least for me, is to go and try to help, thinking that it might not actually be a woman, but a spirit that will pull me into the icy depths of that river. That sends a shiver up my spine. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Alyssa Gorman, for recommending that I make a video on La Llorona. Once again, I have immensely enjoyed it. Again, this is Mysteriously Nervous Nightmare, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Oh, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment on what you would like me to do next. Now remember, don't be shy about what you want me to do a video on.